What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we're here for another episode of Let's Talk Dynasty, and we are continuing our divisional breakdowns for fantasy football, talking about it from a redraft, best ball, and dynasty fantasy football lens. So whichever type of format you play in, we got you covered. I promise it is going to be everything you need for all of these players being drafted in the top 200 of drafts. And as I mentioned, it's an episode of Let's Talk Dynasty. It would not be an episode without my co-host MFGDs. We hit the AFC North on Monday. We are now hitting the NFC North. And if you guys know, Minnesota Vikings fan, NFC North fan, also my co-host, he's a Chicago Bears fan. So we're going to get him in the building and we'll start talking some fantasy football, man. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as humanly possible during this video. I promise.
Me too. Even though you see all the purple and yellow on, I figured if there was ever a time to go all out, it's for the NFC North when we're talking specifically about some Minnesota Vikings for about 5-10 minutes of time.
Right.
But, hey, look, we already talked about it. Like I said, we did the AFC North, so if you haven't watched that, you're a fan of an AFC North team, go watch that after this video. But today we are here for the NFC North. As I mentioned, we got some preseason coming up here in the next week, so excited for that. But that's not what we're here for today. We're here to talk about the NFC North, and we are going to be kicking it off the same way that we kicked it off in the last episode, going from the lowest projected win total to the highest projected win total in 2024. And as the lowest projected win total team, we'll talk about my Minnesota Vikings. Now, their projected win total is 6.5 wins. Obviously, last year wasn't the year that they wanted out of this football team. 7-10 was the record. They missed the playoffs in 2023. Obviously, Kirk Cousins had the torn Achilles. Justin Jefferson dealt with a hamstring injury for the majority of the year. TJ Hockenson had a torn ACL late in the year. Not a lot of good stuff. Alexander Mattison was just a bust. He forgot how to play football for about half a year, actually majority of the year. Now, this is a football team that is projected to really do one of the lowest win totals in football right now. And new quarterback under center, you look at the offseason additions of one, free agent Sam Darnold, and rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who has supposedly been lighting it up in training camp, and the offseason addition of Aaron Jones in the running back room. War. I got to ask, because we are now at the point where 6.5 wins, that feels very low. To me, I'm looking at it as a fan, though. What do you think about the 6.5 wins for the projected win total?
I think the Vikings are more close to an 8-win team than a 6.5 win team. I think that projection is a little bit low. I think the NFC North and the AFC North are going to be the two strongest divisions in football. So I wouldn't be surprised if you get every team coming out with a winning record or a close to winning record. Say 8 wins, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It just feels like, I mean, we talked about the AFC North in the last episode, and all of those teams were above 500. Obviously, you can't have four, or couldn't have those four teams go to the playoffs.
Right.
Keep in mind, too, like last year, the Vikings, they were fighting for playoff spots, or at least a wild card spot, late into the season, despite having Joshua Doubs play quarterback, Nick Mullins play quarterback, no Jefferson. It feels like this team, and again, I'm wearing all purple and yellow, but it feels like a team that is coached well. It's a team that has a lot of elite weapons on offense. Obviously, the defense has not been great, but they're a 7-win football team last year with Mullins and Doubs and no Jefferson. And am I crazy to think that even with Sam Darnold probably starting the year as the starter and then going to J.J. McCarthy later in the year, that's an upgrade to what Doubs and Mullins were last year, and they won 7 games? Like, is that crazy to think that that's an upgrade and that this feels far-fetched?
I don't think that's crazy or far-fetched. I think that you are getting a bit of upgrade with the guys that the Vikings have now.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of faith in J.J. McCarthy. I've also been on record for the most part saying, though, that I think that he should probably sit out the start of the year unless he really proves that he is that guy in camp, which, again, I said he's been having some rave reviews. I've seen a lot of them, and it looks good. But when I talk about that schedule, 28th in strength of schedule, and for the record, 28th means that's the 28th easiest. So in other words, that's the 4th toughest schedule for a quarterback to start the year. Don't throw the rookie in there to start the year, but 6.5 wins. I'm saying it as a fan, but you're saying it as a fan of the Chicago Bears, so it tells me that I'm not crazy. 6.5 feels low. I'm going over 6.5 on that projected win total.
Yeah, same here. I think they'll do better than 6.5. That's for sure.
All right, well, let's look at the ADPs. As I mentioned, underdog, superflex, top 200. This is single season format, but we'll talk about it from a dynasty lens for you guys as well, as this is Let's Talk Dynasty. But you got Justin Jefferson being drafted as the wide receiver 4 in fantasy right now, followed by the quarterback controversy. J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold being drafted as QB 29 and QB 30. Aaron Jones off the board as running back 18. Jordan Addison as wide receiver 45. Then you got some Ty Chandler there as the handcuff, and T.J. Hockenson as the tight end 15. Now, looking at this here, I think there's a couple talking points. One, I'll break it down on how I want to talk about this. One, Justin Jefferson, he's being drafted as the wide receiver 4. I want to talk about what we think he's going to do here with these quarterbacks. I want to talk about the quarterback controversy, and then I want to talk about T.J. Hockenson. So in that order, let's kick it off with Justin Jefferson. How do we feel about Jefferson in 2024, despite the fact that it's probably going to be Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy for the majority of the year?
That he's still wide receiver 1, and I don't know why the hell or how the hell he's wide receiver 4. I think that's ridiculous. Justin Jefferson is quarterback proof. It doesn't matter who's throwing the ball, and you're getting guys. He was getting thrown the ball by guys that were worse than the guys they have now. So yeah, that's kind of a weird projection on that one. I don't know.
By the dip?
I know Jahmyr is probably one of the other guys. Who are the other two guys?
Being drafted ahead of him?
Yeah.
It's going to be Lamb, Hill, and Chase.
Okay. Lamb and Hill, they are beasts, but I just still lean with JJ, man. It's the best wide receiver in football.
That's how I feel. And I'm looking at keep trade cut. In Dynasty, Jefferson's still the wide receiver 1, but it's gotten a lot closer. Lamb is right there behind him. So it's more of a conversation between Lamb and Jefferson at this point.
If I could move Lamb or Tyreek to get JJ, I'm doing it in a heartbeat, even if I have to throw in like a second or something.
I agree. I think the dip, there's going to be a small dip on Jefferson, and when you get guys this talented, this elite, and you get any type of dip, I think you should be buying it. I also believe, like I said, I believe J.J. McCarthy is going to be the real deal, just everything that I've seen. But I know I'm looking at it from purple-tinted lenses right now, so I can't go too deep on the J.J. McCarthy hype, but he looks legit. Now, with the quarterback controversy, and I bring it up, J.J. McCarthy, we talk about the strength of schedule being very tough to begin the year. We talk about Darnold potentially being the guy to come out. If you are drafting these guys, let's say you're in a redraft league, you're in a best ball league, and you have to draft somebody. They're going back to back. I think it was 29 and 30. Are you taking Darnold or are you taking McCarthy in that draft?
Taking McCarthy hands down. Like Sam, he's a nice little beginning of the season story, but you're going to go with McCarthy. It doesn't matter what Sam Darnold does this season. McCarthy is taking over even halfway at the end of next season. We'll be super surprised if it's next season. So you will see J.J. McCarthy this year. So yeah, I'm leaning McCarthy all the way.
I've been hearing rumors about McCarthy maybe being the week 1 guy. Like they might throw him out there because of how he's performed in camp. I think I saw something the other day, and keep in mind this is all just beat writer stuff. So I'm speaking as a fan, but they put him out against the first team defense. They had him in a red zone drill in camp. They said that he had 8 red zone drive opportunities, basically like taking over from the 20 and trying to score a touchdown. He went 7 for 8 in those red zone drills, 7 touchdowns. One of them, they had to kick the field goal. It wasn't, he didn't get the touchdown, but they're saying he looks legit. I'm seeing him throw like back shoulder sideline grabs to Jalen Naylor, to Jordan Addison. I don't know, man. He seems good, but I hope he is what the franchise is hoping that he is. But I think I agree with you. Like if I have to pick one of these guys this year, I'm not rolling with Darnold. Like he's a nice, maybe you get 3-4 weeks out of him, but this is J.J. McCarthy's team for the taking.
100% agree.
So with that being said, do you want to trade me Sam Darnold in our Dynasty League yet, or do you still want to hold him?
I mean, if you give me that 4th, then yeah.
All right, never mind. We're just both going to be at a stalemate forever. Let's talk about T.J. Hockenson, because T.J. Hockenson, he's being drafted as tight end 15 in that single season format. Obviously, this is because of the late ACL tear. When T.J. Hockenson is healthy, he is not tight end 15 material. Do you feel like he is worth drafting at this point where you're going to get a good value on him, or are you staying away from Hockenson at the with the injury risk?
I'm not staying away from Hockenson. I think I've heard something that Hockenson might be back week 1. So I mean, no, I'm not staying away at all. I'm treating him as the same tight end stud that he's always been.
Fair enough.
Now, if somebody
So
wants to sell me Hockenson for the low, then I'm definitely all ears.
okay, so tight end 15, you're buying on that dip right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair enough. I don't
100%.
I don't hate it, man. I think it's a solid move. But anything else really to take away here? I mean, I'll just throw that ADP up one more time. We talked about those guys. Any thoughts on? I guess we can briefly touch on it just because this is one of our favorite teams, so we'll talk a little bit deeper. Aaron Jones, comes over from Green Bay. How do you feel about Aaron Jones here in Minnesota? You think he's going to be decent?
No.
No.
No, I don't think. Yeah, Aaron Jones. I think, man, we everyone knows by now how we feel about running backs changing teams. I think we've seen the best of Aaron Jones. I think if anybody, I'll be looking at Ty Chandler and investing in him and waiting for Aaron Jones to like fall off at some point.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel about Aaron Jones. In fact, I had Aaron Jones on a dynasty roster last year when he was on Green Bay. He got hurt, and then his value kind of tanked, and I was like, well, I'm not going to sell him low now. And then he found his way on Minnesota, and so I was actively looking to shop him, and then I'm like, well, now he's a Viking. I don't know if I want to sell him just because I want to root for him, but I don't know, man. It's a tough thing to call, I feel like, because the run game wasn't good last year. The run game is looking to improve, and they hope that Aaron Jones does that for us. But again, an older running back, I don't know, man. I'm in the same boat as you where Aaron Jones should be fine, but I think Ty Chandler is going to be utilized more than people think.
Yeah.
He was pretty solid down the stretch, and so I think he's going to be utilized a little bit more. Now, one more thing we'll talk about before we move on. Jordan Addison. He had the offseason stuff, obviously getting in trouble again, second offseason. But does that matter to you for fantasy purposes? You don't care at all?
I don't care at all. He's just a young dude doing dumb young things, and he'll be all right. He'll live past. It doesn't seem like the Vikings care too much about it either. So if they don't care, I don't care.
They seems like they handled that internally. They had a conversation internally. I don't know too much about it, but I don't know. We'll see. That I think he was being drafted in the 30s. Feels a little bit low for Jordan Addison because he performed better than that last year. Now I know Justin Jefferson was off the field for a good chunk of that, so who knows? Maybe it's a decent ADP range where you're not gonna get a big boom off of that ADP production, but you're maybe also not gonna get a disappointing asset either. The only thing that I would note that, as I mentioned, that quarterback schedule is tough. It applies to the wide receivers as well. That wide receiver to start the season is going to be tough. So maybe we see the script already. Maybe it is Darnold week 1. Like we said, those first 5 games, they're tough. They let Darnold go in, get beat up, throw a couple picks, and then, hey, here comes J.J. McCarthy. The schedule lightens up, and now it's all of a sudden it's McCarthy's team. Maybe that's the script.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
All right, well, let's move on to the next team, and what do you know? We're talking about the Chicago Bears. So they finished last year as a 7-10 team as well, tying Minnesota for that 7-10 record. Missed the playoffs in 2023, but the projected win total is 8.5 games now. So 2 games more than the Minnesota Vikings. Major offseason additions, obviously. Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, and a new offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron coming over from the Seattle Seahawks, who tends to push the ball a little bit more downfield with some big plays. Looking at this 8.5 projected win total and all of the new additions, War, this is your time to shine.
Well. We're talking about the Bears, huh?
Da Bears.
8.5. It's a pretty low projection for a possible Super Bowl team.
Holy
8.5. 8.5, huh? Needless to say, I'm going the over. 8.5. That's entirely too low. This is a 10-win team at the minimum. Probably won't go to the Super Bowl. Maybe not even make the playoffs. 10 wins doesn't guarantee you a spot in the playoffs, but this team will win double-digit games. I'm certain of that.
I am so glad you just cut that promo because our fantasy receipts episode that we do this time next year is going to be great when we see that Super Bowl Bears take coming out of War's mouth. Oh my God. Look, 8.5 wins. it feels right. I don't know, 10 wins, double-digit wins, that feels tough, man. Even the Packers last year didn't go double-digit wins. I love Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is a dog. I think you guys, I truly do think you guys found a franchise quarterback in Caleb. I think you got your franchise wide receivers tied up in Romeo Odunze and DJ Moore with his new contract. I think the future's bright in Chicago, but Super Bowl as a rookie, double digit contending. I don't know. Come on, man.
All the things you just said, in addition to a defense that I think will be a top 3 defense in the NFL. Top 3.
All right.
You want to know why you aren't hearing about Caleb Williams going 7 for 8 on red zone drills with 1 field goal? It's because he's going against a top 3 defense. Top 3 defense. I just want to put that out there. The defense is going to be better than the offense. The defense is why they could challenge for a Super Bowl.
All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, you're clearly going over the 8.5 wins.
Yeah.
I'll match you on the over, but I am not, I'm not where you're at, but that's fine. You're looking from orange tinted lenses. Now let's look at the ADPs here, because the ADPs are what's a little bit interesting. Superflex, top 200, Caleb Williams, he's being drafted as QB 12 out the gate. QB 1 right out the gate. DJ Moore, wide receiver 22. Keenan Allen, wide receiver 36. DeAndre Swift, running back 19. Odunze, wide receiver 44. Cole Kmet, tight end 19. Herbert and Johnson as the backup running backs, running back 55 and running back 57. There's a few things to talk about here, and since this is your team, I'll kind of let you decide the direction we go. I just will mention that on this channel over the last couple of days, I've talked a lot about this Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson battle. So if we want to touch on that towards the end, we can touch on that for running back 2. But War, where do you want to start off?
Let's start from the top. Start with Caleb. That's fine. QB 12, his ADP is fine. What I want to talk about, the main talking point I have here is I would definitely take Romeo Odunze over Keenan Allen.
You would, for sure, in a redraft?
Dynasty and redraft, both. Okay. And it's not like a knock on Keenan Allen. It's just a testament to how good I think Romeo Odunze will be. It's a testament to me. So Romeo Odunze will eventually be the number 1 receiver for this team, even with DJ Moore there. I think it's just a matter of Rome's going to be Caleb's guy. It's going to be his guy. Their connection has been great throughout camp. Keenan Allen will still be a stud. DJ Moore will still be a stud. DeAndre Swift is going to have the best season of his career this season. The best season of his career. I think the way they plan to use him is going to be almost like a bell cow. We're going to talk about Roschon and Khalil, but I don't think you're going to see much of those guys. One of the guys, you might not even see him at all as a Bear. Cole Kmet, tight end 19. I would like to see the 18 tight ends that are ahead of him, that's for sure. But for now, I'm okay with where he is, because he is going to basically be the 4th or 5th option in the passing game. So, not to mention Gerald Everett is there. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there's lots. I feel like there's lots to unpack here. So where do I want to go here? I guess the first and foremost, what I want to unpack is in Dynasty, Romeo Odunze is being valued above DJ Moore. Sounds like you agree that is the way that it should be. He should be above DJ Moore. He's being valued in the same tier as Chris Olave and Drake London. Does that sound appropriate to you?
He should be higher than Olave.
What about Brandon Ayuk? Higher or lower?
Higher.
Waddle?
That's where we're starting to see where he should be. Yeah, he should be right by my son.
So
you
would have Romeo Odunze as a top 13 wide receiver in Dynasty right now. That's where you kind of have him. I'm looking at DJ Moore. He's in the range of Nico Collins, DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman. Sound correct?
Yeah, I guess that's fine.
And then
I would take him over those guys, but yeah,
okay,
he could be in that tier.
And then Keenan Allen, either I scrolled past him. Okay, here's an interesting one. Keenan Allen, I thought I scrolled past him. You got him in the same range as Josh Downs, Romeo Doubs, and Dontayvion Wicks.
Somebody smoking something.
That sounds crazy.
He's never had a bad season. That's insane.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. Now,
if Dontayvion Wicks is on the level of Keenan Allen, I've stolen him for several people this offseason. But we'll talk about Dontayvion Wicks later.
Yeah, we can talk about him later. And then I want to talk about DeAndre Swift. He's currently being valued as the running back 19 in Dynasty. I think you and I, we both talked about at times that he's probably undervalued. I actually have a lot of DeAndre Swift. In fact, let me just pull up these underdog shares real quick, because if I'm looking at my running backs, he's my number one most drafted running back currently in all of these drafts. Over 50 drafts completed at this time. I got 28% DeAndre Swift on those teams. So him, Travis Etienne, Kyron Williams, these are my top 3 drafted running backs in fantasy this year. So I obviously am in agreement with you. I think DeAndre Swift is being undervalued.
Absolutely 100%. And people going to find out.
All right. Well, anything else from the Bears, or are we going to get off of our teams?
I guess we can move on from the Bears for now, but you will see them on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, we will see them on Hard Knocks, and that's going to be exciting. In fact, at the time of this recording, it's in the future, but when you guys see this video, we will have already seen the first episode of Hard Knocks. So we will see the first episode, and then we'll talk about this. But yeah, anyways, let's move on to the next team here. Team projected to finish 3rd overall in the division, the Green Bay Packers. They are currently projected 9.5 wins, and currently looking at what they did last season, they were a 9-8 win team. They made the divisional round. They lost to the San Francisco 49ers. Jordan Love, he came on in the back half of the year, was really dominant, actually. Became one of the highest paid quarterbacks in NFL history. He is the highest paid at this time. And I may have, broke that news 3 weeks ago on Let's Talk Dynasty if you were paying attention. But hey, I'm not Adam Schefter. Free agent additions. Josh Jacobs gets added to this team. Jordan Morgan on the offensive line. MarShawn Lloyd in the NFL draft out of USC. How are we feeling about this roster right now? And how do we feel about 9.5 wins for Green Bay?
I would go with the under. I think they're probably like a 6-win team. No, I'm kidding. I think they're that's going to be an over. I'm really surprised by the win total, especially with the way the media glazes the Packers any chance they get. 9.5. I'm really surprised that they showed the level of patience and fairness when projecting their win totals. But I do think they will probably be an 11 to 12 win team. I actually think they're actually my pick to win the division, but we'll be more on that later. So yeah, that's how I see the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a good football team. They've been coached really well under LaFleur this whole time. They looks like they found the next quarterback of the future. I mean, they paid him like the quarterback of the future. The wide receiver room, as ambiguous it is, they got some talented guys in there. Jayden Reed, guys we like, Dontayvion Wicks, Christian Watson. Josh Jacobs, second contract coming over to this team. I don't know, man. It just feels like a very solid roster. But I want to look at the ADPs of these guys, because right now they have a ton of guys being drafted in the top 200. You have Jordan Love coming off the board as the QB 10. Josh Jacobs is the running back 12. Jayden Reed is the wide receiver 34. Christian Watson is the wide receiver 40. Romeo Doubs, the wide receiver 50. Lloyd, MarShawn Lloyd, that is the running back 44. Dontayvion Wicks is the wide receiver 62. And Luke Musgrave as the tight end 20. These are all top 200 players. When you look at this ADP, does anything stick out to you? And where does your mind go for talking points with this roster currently?
That, man, you know what? I'm going to be completely honest. I think for the most part, you can question anyone between Jayden Reed and Dontayvion Wicks, because those wide receivers on that team are so interchangeable. But the one thing, and I think Jacobs, I guess his ranking is fair. I mean, you have to take him around there, but we've already spoken on where we think he's going to ultimately end up. I do think you can get a steal with MarShawn Lloyd, because I do expect him towards the tail end of the season, or even the beginning of the season. Like I said, I'm not high on this Josh Jacob things at all, but that could be a steal for you right there. I think Jordan Love is properly placed. I think quarterback 10, top, 13 or something like that. I think that's fair for his ranking. I don't have a huge problem with where these guys are rated. I just think that those wide receiver spots could be interchangeable. Yes, Jayden Reed is like the 84th player pick, but at the same time, who knows, Doubs could be in that spot. So they're so interchangeable. Yeah. I do think Reed is the most talented one, though.
Yeah, Reed is my favorite in the room. I think he's the most talented in the room. If I have to bet on any of them, he's the guy that I want to bet on. But I've been a Jayden Reed guy for a long time, before he was in Green Bay, in fact. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm looking at where Jordan Love is being valued right now in the community, and I'm going to we're going to play the game. The game we always play, Jordan Love or this guy. And I'll just kind of go down the board. We'll start with a few spots above him. We'll go to a few spots below him, and you kind of tell me this or that. We'll start with an easy one. Joe Burrow or Jordan Love?
Burrow.
All right. Anthony Richardson, Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
Caleb Williams or Jordan Love?
Caleb Williams.
Jordan Love or Justin Herbert?
Because of how things are starting, Jordan Love.
Kyler Murray or Jordan Love?
I'm going to say Kyler Murray, but that's for you.
So we'll say it for you. What do you say for you?
I mean, I'll go with Jordan Love just because, I'll go with Jordan Love.
All right, last one. Actually, we'll go two more, and then we'll be done. Jayden Daniels or Jordan Love?
Jordan Love.
Trevor Lawrence or Jordan Love?
Jordan Love.
How the tables have turned, man. I remember this time last year when we were doing the Green Bay Packers preview, you were talking that talk about Jordan Love, talking about him not being that great of a quarterback and wasn't going to be good. And yet the tables have turned. It's interesting to see. There's a lot of respect I see coming across the screen for Jordan Love now.
Oh, yeah, but that respect could easily be lost. It's within the range. It's within the range of outcomes that they get a whole season of tape on him and the guy just ends up being pedestrian. But for now, I will take like Anthony Richardson and Kyler Murray. I look at those three assets as more equal than Jordan Love, or Kyler Murray was particularly hard because I feel like those assets are really equal. Because I feel with Anthony Richardson, it's like I still need to see more from the passing perspective for me to just be like, okay, I'm going to put him over Jordan Love. Kyler Murray, that's tricky. I feel like Kyler Murray could have the best season of his career this season. So
I agree.
It's a wait and see approach, but I lean Love for now.
Okay, and then I just want to have us rank. We'll each rank the wide receiver room in order. How are you taking it? Rank the four.
I would go with Jayden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Dontayvion Wicks, and then Christian Watson.
You're going to trigger a lot of people by putting Watson at fourth.
So what?
So what? All right. I like the answer. I mean, not the way that I'm going is, I mean, no matter what you do, you're probably going to trigger a lot of people because I feel like every wide receiver in this room, somebody has a hard on for. I'm going to go Jayden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontayvion Wicks. Sorry, not sorry to the Wicks truthers. He's the fourth guy in this room. That's just the way that I see it. And that could be a fantasy receipt here later down the road, but who knows? But yeah, man, I mean, other than that, I think this has kind of covered the Packers. I mean, I'm just going to go back and look at that ADP one more time. I mean, we've talked about the guys. Jacobs, you know how I feel about that. I think he's just slightly overvalued, but I see the path if he's going to be successful. I like Lloyd. Do we want to touch on Luke Musgrave? I feel like he was a guy that a lot of people liked in Dynasty leagues, but it seems like we've cooled off on Musgrave a ton.
I mean, here's my thing. I feel like there's two tight ends in that room that are equal. To me, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave are like equal to me. So, I mean, I think he cooled off because they seen that another guy could do the same thing in this offense. So, but I also think that's once again goes to the Packers' ability to use multiple receivers. So,
yeah, it's crowded. It's a crowded offense, and we've talked about it at the tight end position too. I mean, I just did it on the AFC North video where, you know, you want a guy at the tight end position who's going to see targets, and when you're the second option on the team or the first option on the team, that's what you want. When you're the fifth, sixth option on the team, I mean, that makes it really hard to trust you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on Watson one more time, he's fourth. He's fourth because I think that he's going to always have some type of injuries going on. So, sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. It is what it is. But let's go over to the last team here in the NFC North. We will talk about the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions, they kind of took the world by storm last year. They were the Cinderella story of the NFL, it felt like. 12 wins, 5 losses. They go to the NFC Championship game. They lose to the San Francisco 49ers, spoiling their chances at a Super Bowl. Major free agent and trade additions this offseason. They get Kevin Zeitler on the offensive line, but really nothing else. It's the same Lions coming over from last year. This is going to be the Lions that you get this year. Look, 10.5 wins. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam LaPorta, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs. How are we feeling about this Lions squad?
I love the pieces on this Lions squad, but mark my words, this team will not win this division. They will not win this division. This team will be closer to the pack. And while closer to the pack, I mean, it will be a 3-team race. I don't care what y'all say. I don't care. It'll be a 3-team race between the Packers, the Lions, and the Bears. This is not going to be a, hey, we're the Lions, roar, we're running away with the division. It's not. Andrew's team will be watching from the sideline.
Hey, man. Wait, J.J. McCarthy MVP season loading in 2026, baby.
Yeah, man. I love the collective individual, not the collective individual. It's an oxymoron. I like the individual pieces on this team. Here's my thing. If we're talking about just straight up football, I don't believe here's my logic with everything. I think a lot of this team's success has been predicated on the motivation and the drive of their head coach. I do not think that coaching style is sustainable across multiple seasons. Eventually, the rah, 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 bite your ankles and all that stuff, eventually that stuff starts to fall kind of silent on guys' ears. And the minute that happens, the Detroit Lions as a team will start to take a step back. That's just what I believe. I understand they have a lot of good pieces. Another reason I think they're going to take a step back is because that quarterback has been playing above his head the entire time. I still don't believe in Jared Goff. We're not too far removed from a time where I said Jared Goff and Mitch Trubisky were on the same level. And I say that because I watched both of them play a game against each other, and they threw 8 combined picks, and it was 4 picks apiece. Like, I'm not a Jared Goff guy. I'm very astounded that he's been playing as well as he has, but I know that the sand is starting to trickle out, and they have not done anything to prepare themselves for the potential of the Jared Goff step back. They haven't prepared for it. If that happens this season, which I think it will, this team is going to be closer to the Minnesota Vikings than the Green Bay Packers.
Damn. I mean, look, man, I don't know. I'm looking at the strength of schedule this year, and I'm looking at how did they win that many games this year, and then the schedule they get handed is this easy cupcake schedule, because I'm looking at quarterbacks. Second easiest schedule for quarterbacks this year. 11th easiest for running backs this year. 6th easiest for wide receivers this year. The easiest, number 1 easiest schedule for tight ends this year. How the hell did that happen? It just, how can they not win? What was the line, 10.5 games? How can they not win 10.5 games with that easy schedule? All of these dome games that Jared Goff is known for playing better in the dome. I don't know, man. I feel like they got to go over the 10.5. It just makes sense to me. But I'm gonna bring this out. I'm not gonna say this is what I believe, although I've talked about how highly I think of Ben Johnson as an offensive play caller. I think he should have been a head coach. If I'm being totally honest, there's no way. I'm sorry, Dan Quinn. You know, Dan Quinn should not be the head coach of that Washington Commanders squad. It should be Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson would be an elite head coach over there for the Washington Commanders. But with that being said, I saw a tweet the other day that was like, it was like a tweet, and it was like, say something that would make or that would have like people like this or whatever. And it's like the one guy and like everybody's trying to like argue with him in the room, whatever. It's like a meme. You guys know what I'm talking about. But they said that Dan Campbell is not a good head coach, and the Detroit Lions would be nothing without Ben Johnson. That's what the guy said. And I looked at it and I said, I'm not going to say Dan Campbell isn't a good coach, but at the same time, you know, Ben Johnson is very undervalued from the media market. Like, they don't talk about Ben Johnson the way that they should talk about Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's nice. Yeah. So, anyways, I thought it was interesting. But, yeah, I think this is a team, 10.5 wins. I think they'll do it. I think they'll go over. I think they win the division again. But Green Bay's going to be closer with them this year. I personally think it's a 2-headed race. But you say 3. It is what it is. Let's talk about the players, though, in the ADPs. Because we talked about all these good players. You got Jahmyr Gibbs coming off the board as running back 3 overall. My gosh, running back 3. That's the first time I think I've seen that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver 5. Jared Goff, QB 17. Sam LaPorta, tight end 1. David Montgomery, running back 16. And Jameson Williams, wide receiver 51. I mean, look, we got top 5 guys at the running back position, the wide receiver position, the tight end position. And you got top 20 guys at the QB and the running back 2 job. And then Jameson Williams floating around there for who knows why. How do we feel about this ADP here, man?
if I'm picking number one in the third round and Amon-Ra is there, I'm super excited. I'm taking him in a heartbeat.
Number one in the third round. Did I look at that wrong?
Right, 21. Like if in 10-team league, that would make him number one in the third round, correct?
Yeah, in a 10-team league, in your 12-team, he's getting the late second, but that's super flex. So yeah, you're taking him late. But I mean, come on, yeah, that's a good value on him there.
Yeah.
What do you think about that Jahmyr Gibbs, running back 3? I love Jahmyr Gibbs, by the way. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I absolutely love Jahmyr Gibbs, but running back 3, that means we're taking him over in 2024. We're taking him over CMC this year. We're taking him over Breece Hall this year. We're taking him over Bijan. Or no, he would be right behind those guys, I think, if he was number 3. Let's play the game. We'll do it.
Yeah, let's play the game. Let's fire up the game, man.
Here, we'll start it off right here. Bijan and Gibbs.
Bijan.
Breece Hall.
Gibbs.
I go Breece. CMC,
but one probably like last time.
Jonathan Taylor.
Gibbs.
I do too. Then you're like Devon Achane, Gibbs.
Come on, man.
ETN.
Nobody Achane. Gibbs.
Barkley.
Gibbs.
I mean, like game over. Yeah. 3.
Yeah.
It feels high, but it's probably right. I think in a redraft format though, which that's a single season format. Mm-hmm. He should be 4. You shouldn't take Gibbs over Hall. You shouldn't take him over Bijan. You shouldn't take him over McCaffrey. But I know you just said you would over Hall, so I guess there's an argument.
I look from I'm real big on injuries, especially when it comes to the running back position. Like Hall's been injured, so now it's like, okay, I'm going to take the guy who has the talent and hasn't been injured.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I don't know, man. I just look at that schedule. I look at that everything that they got going on. Somebody made a joke in a league that we're in. I think it was Tyson, my brother. He said, I'm a shadow Lions fan this year because on that Dynasty roster I have Amon-Ra, Gibbs, and Goff all on that roster. I think LaPorta too. Maybe not LaPorta. I just traded LaPorta. But yeah, he was like, you're a shadow Lions fan this year. And I'm like, I just see the fantasy options that they have, and all of those fantasy options are elite. Like they're going to be elite in Dynasty for a while.
I think this is a good time, too, for you to revisit your Sam LaPorta opinion.
Okay, what about my Sam LaPorta opinion?
The reason why, the data that suggests that you should trade Sam LaPorta.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like when you look at how he's being valued in the community, and the reason why I've been selling Sam LaPorta this offseason is one of a few things. You look at one from let's look from a single season lens. This year, how much better do you think Sam LaPorta is going to be than a guy like Mark Andrews? Or do you think he's going to be than a Travis Kelce or a guy like Dalton Kincaid or Trey McBride? Probably not that much better than those guys. So you're not losing that much production in a single season format. Now, in a dynasty format, people are like valuing LaPorta tiers. There's a massive tier break. He is the unanimous, undisputed, far and away tight end 1 in dynasty. And I don't know if that's accurate. So I just look at what Sam LaPorta, for example, let's go to Mark Andrews, right? Obviously, the age difference is a little bit more, but if I go just to keep trade cut, and again, we're using keep trade cut just because it's a community-based thing. I'm not saying this is how you should make your trades, but I just am showing you what the value is in the calculator. If I trade Sam LaPorta away, it says that I should get a first-round pick thrown in with Mark Andrews in order to down tier. That is a ridiculous amount of volume to down tier from Sam LaPorta to Mark Andrews. Now, let's say you don't want to go that far in age or whatever. Let's go to Kincaid. Kincaid should be very good this year. If you want to go from or Sam LaPorta down to Dalton Kincaid, you can get a Cooper Kupp, an Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, Christian Kirk, that type of asset thrown in on the deal. It just makes too much sense. I feel like Sam LaPorta, I love Sam LaPorta. I drafted him in a lot of places last year, and I was very happy that I got Sam LaPorta because he was exactly as advertised, or at least what I thought he was going to be. The value got too high. The pendulum, we talk about the pendulum at times, the swing that it can make. We have swung too far on Sam LaPorta. And I know I just said they have the easiest tight end schedule to start the year. So if you want to wait and let him be dominant again for 4 or 5 weeks, go ahead and do that. But you can get a bag to down tier from Sam LaPorta right now. And we're talking about a onesie position where having the elite guy isn't always the most beneficial, especially when you can get a Kelce and you can get a Kincaid, when the tight end position is getting stronger now than it has been in a lot of years past. Just down tier if you can. Down tier if you can. That's the way that's my opinion on LaPorta. But again, don't hear what I'm not saying. LaPorta is awesome. And if you can't down tier, there's nothing wrong with keeping LaPorta. But if you can down tier and you get that big bonus on the side, just take the value, man.
I, for one, ladies and gentlemen, will not be down tiering for Mr. LaPorta. I think he is an absolute stud. I think he is the best tight end in football going forward for the foreseeable future.
You think we got Kelsey 2.0?
Do we got Kelsey 2.0? We'll see, because I don't think he has Mahomes.
No.
So I mean, that's the key takeaway there.
But I say that as I look at Travis Kelce and his career. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in a row tight end 1 finishes. Not the tight end 1, but he was a tight end 1 for 10 years in a row. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those years, half of them he was the tight end 1. You think LaPorta can go on a run like that? A fantasy football tight end 1 for the next decade?
No, man, because I don't think Goff could. You know what I'm saying? That's the key thing. He needs a real quarterback.
Fair enough. All right, man. Well, that is it for the Detroit Lions. So again, just to recap kind of everything that we talked about today, Vikings, Bears, Packers, Lions. We know it's going to be a competitive division. We obviously have our own personal interests within the division. We got a Chicago Bears Super Bowl call. We got a J.J. McCarthy MVP season in 2026 call today. Those were more fan calls, I feel like. But we also got the main overarching theme of this. I think that Green Bay and Detroit seem to be the favorites and should try and contend for this divisional championship here in the NFC North. Now, with that being said, we are going to keep going through these divisional breakdowns starting next week. Like I said, we're doing 2 a week from here on out. Next week, we will hit the Souths, so the AFC South, the NFC South. If you have, fandom in those 2 divisions, we'll talk about your teams. If you like the AFC North, we talked about those last time, so go watch those. Keep supporting this channel, man. I appreciate everybody who has been supporting it. We got a goal, 3,000 subscribers by week 1 of the NFL season. It's lofty, but I think we can get to it. We just need your continued support. So if you're watching for the first time, you enjoyed the content, you found it actionable, you found it entertaining, you just want to support a smaller channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, join the Discord, do all the good stuff. And War, where can they find you at for your content?
You guys can find me on Crimson Masks Pro Wrestling, where we talk about WWE and AEW. Come check us out at Crimson Masks Pro Wrestling with an attitude.
Hell yeah, man. All right, dude. Well, I guess we'll see Vikings and Chicago Bears competing for the NFC Championship here this year, yeah?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
All right, man. Well, until then, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Talk to you later. Peace out.